For many Black Americans, Independence Day is not July 4th. It's June 19th, or Juneteenth, the day the last enslaved people in the U.S. were told they were free. This year's will be feted with a little more urgency, after George Floyd's death reignited Black Americans' fight for equality. President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. But 2.5 long years passed between enslaved Texans being declared free to them being told about it. News traveled pretty slowly in the 19th century, and even slower for slave owners trying to avoid it. During the Civil War, they fled west, taking thousands of enslaved people far from where Union forces could liberate them. But on June 19, 1865, General Gordon Granger stood on the balcony of a home made with slave labor to read an order that gave an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. But absolute equality has been eluding Black Americans ever since. Although Juneteenth celebrations would pop up outside of Texas, a century of fighting to survive lynching, segregation, and Jim Crow laws tempered the anniversary's national momentum. After Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in 1968, his Poor People's Campaign settled on June 19th for its Solidarity Day rally, which symbolically connected the fight against poverty to enslaved ancestors. Since then, states have slowly come around to officially recognizing the holiday. Texas fittingly was the first in 1980, marking a day that late State Representative Al Edwards said triggered a series of events that defines the challenges and responsibilities of successive generations. New Hampshire became the latest state last year. But this is still the country that killed Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, and George Floyd. A country whose president called Americans protesting the injustice thugs. The distance from true equality may be what kept Black Americans from celebrating Juneteenth. But today, the journey toward closing that gap is exactly what makes it meaningful. This year, it comes as protesters demand that institutions who claim to protect Black Americans don't target them, that the companies who market to Black Americans, including ours, also hire them and pay them fairly, and that the system that's made Black Americans more vulnerable to COVID-19 and the economic crisis is broken. Over 150 years later, Juneteenth is still about how long absolute equality takes to arrive.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Good evening. Today we celebrate Juneteenth, the oldest African American celebration. On June 19, 1865, 2 months after the Civil War had ended, and 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had gone into effect, slaves in Galveston, Texas, received the news of their emancipation. Union soldiers arrived in the state of Texas to enforce the decree of emancipation that the slaves were finally free. Freedom may have been delayed, but it was certainly not denied. Today, we celebrate this important day in our history by celebrating freedom and by acknowledging the ways we are still not free. We celebrate tonight by calling on our poets. From Phyllis Wheatley to Amanda Gorton, Black poetry has always reflected the truth and provided some insight into the Black struggle and the Black experience. Today, we will hear from our young poets. Let us listen to these brave young voices. Our first brave young voice, Makayla Rivera.
What is it to chase something that is never to be caught? Sunsets dance upon citrus wings to the beat of its fluttering song. Limitless meadow underfoot, boundless ocean sky above, but to me, drained of color and clarity. Telescope eyes focused only upon the delicate butterfly. Out of grasp, teasing and taunting my fingertips, out of reach. Melodies softly ringing through the back of my mind, wings singing my name in silk notes, mesmerized by the velvet lullaby. Caressing my ears, quieting the traffic, transforming nightmares into peaceful tunes, painting the crevices of the insect in vibrant oranges and blues. Picture of perfection, millions of pennies at the bottom of the wishing well, 15 and already bankrupt, prayers to catch a butterfly. My feet swept beneath my body across a scene of dandelions, flattened flowers, petals torn to the ground. My dash knows no limits. Always hated the race, addicted to the chase. My stomach howls, starving for the taste, or even a drip of the syrup upon my tongue. Would the butterfly be as sweet as a song that it sung? The enchanting entity flies further and further. I follow to an unventured place. Shadowed forest, draping trees and wicked vines, stolen breath. The soles of my feet cry out, pleading to turn home. Shivers run down my spine as thunder strikes my stomach. Rumbles. I don't eat. Dependent on the prize to cure my hunger, trapped in a lustful haze, drowned in the fear of failure. To catch the winged beauty was the anecdote. Mother always told me my sun-kissed melanin was gold. Why was it so hard to believe? Everyone knew butterflies were captivating. Maybe if I stole some of its colors, the world would finally agree. A game of cat and mouse, finish line was in sight. Satisfaction attainable. Was this exquisite fairy truly about to be mine? Limbs worn and swole, my beating heart drumming faster and faster to the beat of its flight. Adrenaline runs through my veins, setting fires of desire in my blood. Too far to even think of turning back. Just a few feet more, right in front of me. So close, wide eyes, heavy breath. It lands softly on my finger. Finish line crossed. This was it? Echoes of disappointment, defeat, and denial. Fluttering tunes overplayed, magical wings dull and silent up close. Hunger still lingers in the pits of my stomach, lungs still gasping for air in a sea of not enough, skin still too dark to ever be gold. Alone, lost, abandoned to purpose. What is it to chase something that is never to be caught? Give up catching butterflies.
Our second brave young voice, Kamarii Clerge.
Dear America, you define me not by my race, but as a color. You recognize me not by my face, but as a color. You call me not by my name, but as a color. Knock, knock, it's Black. Walking into her office felt like the 4th of July. Red, white, and blue right before my eyes, a therapy session. Man, I started to cry. She said, tell me what you see as you look into the mirror. I don't know how, but things became clearer. I see an African-American woman standing in the middle of a battlefield, gun tucked, fist high, armor on, shoes tied, standing on the shoulders of her ancestors as they lead her body to victory. Who do you see? I see an African-American woman begging your people, not for money or big dollar bills, but for the little change that you have so she can reach back and supply bigger change for her people. Who do you see? I see an African-American mother standing over her son's lifeless body, listening to a cop story of how the animal should be extinct. Who do you see? I see an African-American woman misunderstood. So she's portrayed as angry and given the diagnosis of anxiety and depression and only left with the medicine that you supply. Who do you see? I see an African American woman speaking up for her people. But you see her as a pest in your community. So you try to exterminate her. Why are you silent? Because the time is ticking. And I need my people to watch. Sorry, what was that? Speak up. I said the time is ticking. So I'm going to need for my people to watch. Ma'am, how would you give back to your community? I would simply say this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United People of Africa and to my ancestors, for which they stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our third brave young voice, Samiyah Webster.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samiyah Webster, and I'm a junior at Bart High School Early College in Newark. With this noose around my neck, trying to be politically correct, even though you know I'm smart, you interject, because stupidly you undermine my intellect, as if the color of our skin is repellent for intelligence. But really, it's not our fault that you lack competence. I know if I don't earn my master's, then my master's own me. That's not how it's gonna be. You see, I'll be the healing replica of our ancestors. We spoke as the freedom they spoke from their tongues. Only this time, you'll feel it sprouting from our lungs. So let me recognize some people, the ones who didn't make it, who were just like me and you, all had potential to be great. Emmett Till and Tamir Rice, both one and the same, perhaps the only difference had to be the time frame. Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, both gunned down without justice. Mr. Officer didn't even give us a reason for why he did it. Everett Gardner couldn't breathe. They made him fall to his knees. Ayanna Jones was 7 years old. Dream stolen right from her home. Tanisha Anderson, who fought help only to be shot right in the dome. Corin Gaines, who in front of her baby was found dead. His family photo to your mugshot, as if you was just trying to be the good cop. News stories just be lying about how our family is dying. Unfortunately, there's more, but I might run out of time trying to describe what could be me or my brothers at a drop of a dime. All the lives I've named, lives were taken too soon, never to be forgotten. Say their name because their black is beautiful too.
Our fourth brave young voice, Jadyn Banks.
Hello, my name is Jadyn Banks, and today I'll be presenting my poem for Juneteenth called Along the Waters. We are visionaries, not dreamers. We see a vision as definite and a dream as indefinite. We had to be visionaries along the waters, drowning in the darkness to see who we are in the light of the ocean. We no longer have to question why such horrific things have happened in the past. We are still here for the progression to continue and fight to lead. We are the path to the kingdom, and our past explains it all. We are the chosen, we are the righteous, we are his sons and daughters, and our past will not reoccur.
Our fifth brave young voice, Jeronimo Speaks.
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, You ain't ever gonna fly. No place big enough for holding all the tears you're gonna cry. 'Cause your mama's name is lonely and your daddy's name is pain. So why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly.
They used to ask me, why you wanna fly, blackbird? 'Cause your wings clipped at the seams, and it seems you'll always be pushed to the back, bird. Or to the blackbirds, 'cause gentrification is patiently waiting at our black curves. That's the difference between gated communities and Palatine and growing up in Harvey tents. Go either place, you will see two different faces, no Harvey Dent, and they brush it off like it's politics. While they suck away our blood life like a politics. The war is coming. And while I'm reciting and lighting, it'll probably be a race war before I finish lines. Genocide is $1 billion company, and they race wars like they trying to make it to the finish line. And they race wars when they finish line and take more to replenish lives. So why you want to fly, blackbird? Hey, you know what they call a flock of crows? Murder. Hey, you know what they call a dope spot? Trap. Now how ironic is that? Because whenever the cops come, there's always a murder in the trap. Burner or the strap. Guilty or innocent, the birds will not back fat. Everybody want to be black. Until it's time to be black. Then you standing in that privilege line trying to get your seat back. Don't you know I see sections in Section 8 filled with kids who they asked to be here, coming from C-sections to Section 8, and you call them pigeons. See, they self-esteem is being deemed by vultures, so they parrot to a cockatoo. What's on your bird? Let's be realistic. The cage bird sing, cause sing a prison. Lost time and he'll never get it back. All for some chicken scratch. Figure that. Once someone phone calls and 10 field visits, it's making them bitter black. So why you wanna die, black boy?
You ain't got no one to hold you. You ain't got no one to care. If you'd only so why you wanna fly?
I mean,
blackbird.
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? Don't you know the higher you go, the heavier that load? That American eagle don't pray for blackbirds. They prey on blackbirds, especially those who got worth. So I advise you act first. Newsflash. I say newsflash. I hear they auctioning off flags for sale. Okay, bet, cool. So how much for the swastika? 11 million Jews? Oh, bet, cool. So how much for the Confederate? 15 million blacks. But wait, it only took George for that. Oh, the rest is being paid for courtesy of the Civil War. No, that was 40,000 blacks, I believe. Oh, the rest of the balance is being handled by the CPD. So what you think the price is for the red, white, and blue? I ain't got a clue, but I bet you it's black card approved. Willie Lynch, that's a name. Just ask Rachel. That's Twitter fame. Question. Have they ever raped you? Enslaved you, raped you, tarred and feathered, bathed you, raped you, and even now they still don't hate you, rate you, cause that ain't you, Rachel. Lately, I've been so tired, but I'm so asleep. I'm trying to envision, and I will see with my third eye, but it's filled with cataracts and crow's feet. This muse ain't to be amused, so don't just be fly, blackbird. Just fly.
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly.
Our sixth brave young voice, Anisaa Jean-Pierre.
They say that's the way the cookie crumbled, but it never crumbled our way. Saw my mouth moving, but never heard what I had to say. See, since my cookie was chocolate, it left a chip on their shoulder. Drunk off my cocoa, they never saw me sober. They never saw me sober, and they never saw me free. They only saw the power of what the Black woman could be. You see, don't look in their eyes, because they see what they've done. Afraid of our vengeance, so they reach for their gun. They say that's the way the cookie crumbled, but it never crumbled on our side. Skin rich like chocolate, our death was justified, like Jesus crucified. They whitewashed him so we could praise them like God glorified. But no, I'll take death over slavery, like Ebo's suicide. They say that's the way the cookie crumbles, but today is new. I'm calling all our people who's down with our hue. Speak up or step to the side. No longer will silence slide. I'm calling us together to get ready to fight, to demand our reparations, to demand our birthright. Thank you.
Our seventh brave young voice, Lisa Owens.
I Can't Cry Just Yet by Lisa Owens. Life is hard, I know, but I trusted her. Even when it hurts, I still trust her. I thought she trusted me. I may have messed up, but I thought she would forgive me as I do her. I want to run away. Anyone but here. The burning feeling in the back of my eyes. I can't cry yet. The anger, fear, and anxiety that grows within me choke me, not allowing air into my lungs. I can't cry yet. The voices in my head telling me to end it all. I can't cry yet. Wishing, wondering, pouring my attention all onto one thing, one thought. I can't cry yet. If I cry, I'll show weakness. And if I show weakness, they'll hurt me. I wish I could cry. When the blood in my veins run cold, I want to cry. When the warm and familiar dread in my voice cracks as I speak my truth, my heartfelt words. Please let me cry. When my legs grow weak, my hands shiver as if I were in the cold. Just let me cry. The world is unfair, I know. But just this once, can I not be to blame? Dear God, let me cry. All my life, I let them blame me, hate me, hurt me, throw me away, shut me up, keep me down, toss me around. I let them give me their responsibilities, hoping to God that I can handle it on my own, because I can't trust anyone to help me with the weight on my shoulders. Please, someone hear me. Let me cry. I weep on my own, not trusting anyone with my words, with my pains, the things that gnaw at my brain as I rock myself in bed, hoping someone doesn't hear. Begging them to hear. Pleading them not to see. Hoping they see. I stay in the dark where I think I belong. I hope and plead and beg to be forgotten. I want to be remembered. Why, oh why do I do this to myself? It hurts. I don't trust myself. I don't love myself. I feel pride in my lack of pride, and I blame myself for everything that happens, even when it's not my fault. I hurt myself by lying to myself, but I can't trust anyone else. Only me. I trusted her. She was my friend of almost a year, but I felt that we were close enough that if one of us made a mistake, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Oh, how wrong I was. My lack of trust and my fear of people seemed to be all rooted within her and what she represents to me. My best friend who hurt me. But even now, I repeat the same thing. I can't cry yet. I can wait it out. I just can't pray it.
Thank you for joining us. I pray that you have been inspired. I want to take this moment to thank Tom Perrier for his vision, Jerome Lane, Bill Brown III, Anna King, Tavon Miller, and I especially want to thank our brave young voices. Thank you again for joining us. Have a good evening.
I want to tell you a story from way back. Truck on down and dig me, Jack. In 1865, a hepcat started some jive. He said, come on, Gate, and jump with me. At the Juneteenth Jamboree, the rhythm was swinging at the picnic grounds. Fried chicken floating all around. Everybody there was full of glee. At the Juneteenth Jamboree, trumpets flaring in the air. Mellow barbecue everywhere. Clarinets moaning in the hall. All the Gates was having a ball. They didn't know how to cut no rug, but all the cats had a gallon jug. Everybody happy as they could be at the Juneteenth Jamboree.